It wasn't until I went on a walk this past weekend that I really considered this idea of nature and what it meant to me. I was walking my dog and I saw him interacting with the environment. And I noticed that he was digging at the dirt, smelling the grass, and just was distracted by all the insects that were fluttering by. And it made me stop and think about this idea of nature. And I pondered this curiosity and I looked into the formal definition of nature. Nature means the phenomena of the physical world collectively, including plants, animals, landscape, and other features and products of the earth, as opposed to humans or human creation. And I thought this was interesting because for me, nature is less about the physical properties like plants and trees and more about the way it makes me feel. Nature for me is an escape from the stresses of life. It kind of grounds me in a way. Nature is good for my well-being. Of course, any physical activity outdoors is good for me, but it's more about relieving stress and bringing me happiness. When I'm outside in nature, I really feel at ease. Whether I'm hiking, biking, or just going on a walk, it's as if nature kind of suspends time where I can just focus on the moment and live in the moment and not think about any outside stresses. The fresh air and the greenery really gives me this vitality and this energy, but more importantly, it brings me a true sense of happiness. Nature is also a retreat for me. In comparison to the unpleasant environment of work and school, nature is a pleasing environment where I can connect with my surroundings. As I mentioned, school and work are kind of an unpleasant environment, but I mean this in the sense that we're indoors all day. In nature, there are just so many sights and sounds that inspire me. I don't know about you, but I noticed that after being in a classroom for hours on end, maybe for you it's work, the second I walk outside, I am liberated from the dull and boring, monotonous lifestyle of the indoors. It's just something about the sunlight, the warmth, and the fresh air that just alleviates that sense of boredom from being inside in comparison to being outdoors. And also, nature for me gives me a sense of connection to my environment. While we don't need physical contact with nature, our environment allows us to have this feeling of connection and sense of place. And for me, this comes from just knowing that that place exists. And I know that that sounds pretty abstract, but by just being able to see, smell, and hear nature, it's connecting me to the outside world. Even if I'm in a classroom, there's still a level of interaction when I look out the window and I can see the natural light coming in and the plants and animals that are outside. That's what's connecting me with nature. And I thought about this the other day when I was driving home. I had been at work all day and I knew I wasn't going to get much free time in the evening to go outdoors. And even though I was in my car, I had my windows rolled down and I could hear birds chirping, I could smell a storm rolling in the distance, and I could just feel the warmth of the sun on my face. And that really gave me this sense of place and connection to my environment. So in general, nature just helps me connect with my surroundings. So it wasn't until recently that I realized the impact of nature and how this idea of nature impacts my life significantly, whether I'm interacting with nature indoors or outdoors.